control his jumping or make him not jump by not shooting at him. Freezeman isn't necessarily the easiest of the masters in this game, however he is a good one to start with. He has the same pattern every time. He runs between two sides of the screen, he throws down a block which freezes the ground. Make sure that you're not standing on the ground when he throws it down, or else you'll freeze as well, and he'll get an easy free shot on you. He goes to the other side, and then he drops icicles from the ceiling, which always drop in the same exact pattern. So once the first two drop, you can jump to that spot real quick, and you'll be safe from the other ones. Then you just gotta dodge his ice shot, which he shoots out straight at you, get over it, and then just watch it. He'll go back to the right side of the screen, and then he'll continue the whole pattern again, freezing the ground, doing the icicles, and back and forth until he's finally defeated. Now, at the end of each Robot Master stage, we now go to Dr. Light's lab, where he then explains to us a little bit of each ability and how it's used and what we can use it for, and then we get to see the classic you get whatever, in this case the Freeze Cracker. Now, we did see it a little bit in Mega Man 6, and we'll see it a little bit more in Mega Man 7, that using certain abilities in certain stages allows us to get to certain platforms or do certain things in the levels. We'll be using the Freeze Cracker ability, actually, in our next stage, Cloudman stage, in order for us to locate certain items. Now, in Cloudman stage, there's two things that we're going to be doing. We're going to be getting the next of the Rush letters for that super adapter, and then we're also going to be meeting up with Proto Man for the first time. By meeting up with Proto Man in this stage, and then later on in the game in Turbo Man stage, we can then do battle with him in Shade Man stage in order to get his Proto Shield, the shield that he uses in battle. He'll actually give us that ability. Now right there you saw that I went ahead and changed to the Ice Cracker ability, used it in the pouring rain, and then all of a sudden the rain turns to snow. And this level is really kind of the first time, if you haven't already noticed it, just the graphics in the game are beautiful. The SNES obviously had a lot of power for the time, and you can really see how well the sprites were drawn in each of the games. Just that differential between the rain and the snow in the level is just a very unique thing that we didn't see from games at the time. We only started seeing it with the SNES generation. We saw a little bit of that in Mega Man X1 by manipulating certain stages before facing other stages in order to change the elements and to change the weather and level design of certain stages. Now, as we move ahead through Cloudman stage, and we get to see some of my favorite enemies of all time that return from previous Mega Man games, those things that drop the eggs, or balls in this case, that shoot out the little tiny birds, which are very annoying. You want to go ahead and use the Rush Coil here, get up to the ladder, and then move across these platforms to the left to get a hold of the U letter in Rush. You can also grab that extra life if you do need it. Now, when you come down, of course, there's going to be a lot of enemies here, so you be careful of them. Take damage if you have to, but make sure you're not jumping when you take that extra hit so that you won't accidentally get dropped into a pit. Those types of deaths can still occur even in this game. Now, when we get to this platform, you want to get to that ladder up there, so once again, we're going to need to use the Rush Coil, and it will lead us to the first of the two meetings with Proto Man. Proto Man gives us a little bit of information, but then once he's gone, you'll right back down the ladder and move on through the stage. Now, with the added memory and size of the SNES cartridges compared to the NES, they could really add more depth to each level, longer levels, and make a longer overall game, especially adding those more cinematic scenes that we hadn't seen before in Mega Man. However, in my opinion, this game ends up being easier than the Mega Man games for the NES, with the exception of a couple of boss battles, which can be real tough if you don't use their weaknesses against them. And now we move into the Robot Master layer of Cloudman. Now, Cloudman ends up being a pretty easy Robot Master. He's actually easier, in my opinion, than Freezeman. His lightning bolts are rather easy to dodge, either coming straight at you, or he'll use a couple on the ground itself. His main thing is he's using the rain to his advantage. He's either pulling you towards him if you're on the left side of him, or if you're on the right, because of the rain, the way it's moving, it'll push you away from him towards the edge. You gotta be careful of that. When he shoots the lightning down, if it hits the ground, you want to make sure you jump over it. or if he shoots it straight at you, jump over it. Continue charging up your shots when possible, get close to him, deliver a full blast up charge if you can. And when he's doing the hovering ability back and forth, you can slide underneath of him to avoid getting hit. Continue charging your shot when he uses the rain to, try to pull you in or push you away. Get close to him, deliver that shot, and after only a minute or so, he's done. He's definitely only one of the easier bosses that we'll have to face in Mega Man 7. With Cloudman defeated, we get the Thunderbolt ability, which we'll actually have to use in another one of the stages in order to get a certain item. Now, the next Robot Master we're going to take out is Burstman. Definitely one of my least favorites in terms of battle in the game. Now, I guess as a good break, we don't have to collect too much in Burstman stages. There's actually only one item that we're going to have to locate, which is the next of the Rush letters for the Super Adapter. Now, in this game, you may have already seen that I picked up a few of them. There's bolts to collect. This was the first of the console Mega Mans to introduce the whole shopping aspect to the original series. Now, it was also in Mega Man 4 and 5 for the Game Boy, but this was its first console debut, where you can buy certain upgrades, including a couple of the items that we can find that are in certain stages, as well as extra energy tanks and other such things to help us out in our runs. There are also big bolt locations where you can find kind of like these big money upgrades if you want to throughout certain levels, which will definitely bring up your money count. However, since I'm really not going to be buying any items from the shop, I'm not going to go ahead and purchase anything or find those bolts. But I will find all the other items, which most people consider a 100% run of the game is to finding all those items, not necessarily finding all the big bolts. So here we have a crab mini-boss that we have to take care of. Pretty easy to deal with. His main blasts are rather easy to dodge, especially considering you have low gravity because we're underwater. Charge up your full shots and hit him from afar and dodge his weaponry. When he does charge towards you, you can easily jump over him and then retreat back once he comes backwards. After he's done, we start floating upwards. As you can see, the water kind of changed colors on us, and we'll start moving upwards. Once it gets to the top, then we can continue on through the stage. While Burstman may be light on the weapons and items to find in the stage itself, it does of course try to get you in one other way. It adds the disappearing and reappearing blocks that we've all loved from all the other NES Mega Man titles. Thankfully, they're not too obnoxious in this game, and they're pretty easy to take care of. I'll go ahead and cheat some of it by using the Rush Coil to get over a few of the harder jumps. Now, you may be wondering, since we're getting pretty late in the stage, have we missed a letter yet? No, it's coming up actually in this room right here. You can see it on the opposite side here. The water floats up there. We can be able to jump out of the water once it's at the top there, and then grab it, and then we're going to have to wait a few seconds for the water to retreat back up, in which case then we can float across the stage and move on through it. At the end of the room, we'll climb up the ladder, which is going to lead us to our Robot Master room against Burstman. Now, I always like to take a full charged up shot going into Burstman stage, or in any other Robot Master stage, so that I can get a quick, big shot in as fast as possible at the beginning of the battle. Burstman is definitely tough to deal with, because you have the spikes on the ceiling which are an instant death if you hit them. These little balls that he shoots out right there, there's bubbles with the yellow bombs inside of them. If you get hit by one, you end up getting caught in it and float upwards towards the spikes, end up hitting them, and instantly lose a life. Now, there is multiple ways to deal with the bubbles. You can jump in between each bubble, which I'll probably show in my second battle against him. Or, you can go ahead and, like I like to do, or at least I think it's a little bit more challenging, wait till they get just about right on you, and then jump up, bounce off the wall, but you can see you can bounce off the wall right there, and spring across all of them, and then deliver a full shot on them, and then retreat to the left side of the screen. Not necessarily the most exciting battle to watch, but it should prevent you from getting hit inside one of the bubbles and taken out. This is one of the toughest of the early bosses in the game, so if you can get past this, we should be pretty good for most of the run, because the instant death factor is definitely the biggest issue with him. This is one of those ones where you're probably going to get pretty tired and your hand is going to get sick of trying to do the same thing over and over again while facing him. Now his weakness is the freeze cracker, so if you want to go ahead and use that to take him out quicker, definitely recommend it for this boss in particular. Definitely one of the tougher ones. Once he's done though, we teleport and go back to Dr. Light's lab.